Single-shot rifles in Warframe are useless. As of right now, this subclass harbors some of the worst weapons in the game, but at the same time, these are some of the most fun and skill-based. So how can this be? How is it possible for a weapon subclass to be pretty much dead while also being crazy fun and satisfying to use? Today I want to talk about this. It may not be the most attractive subject ever or trendy, but before the sacrifice eats us alive, I want to discuss the nature of single-shot rifles in Warframe. I'm Deuce, and thanks in advance for watching. But first, a clarification. The term single-shot rifle is an invention of mine. There is no weapon in the game that is known for this denomination. But there is a need to specify which subset I'm referring to. As you know, there are several ways for a weapon to function within Warframe. You have the fully automatic, like the Basa and the Tenora. Then you have the burst fire weapons, like the Sebaris or the Quartak. The charged weapons, such as bows, the Opticore and the Lanka. And finally, the semi-automatic, with inclusions such as the Vectis and this video's cover weapon, the Veld. This video is about the latter, the semi-auto weapons, but not all of them. No, I use the term single-shot rifle to define a very specific type of weapon in the game that functions with a semi-auto trigger but isn't a sniper. They're known elsewhere as carbines. Now, single-shot rifles in this game, like I said at the beginning, are absolute trash. Their damage output is little to none, and the amount of effort and resources required for any of them to simply function is enormous. This is due to several factors. Number one is the trigger type. All of the single-shot rifles are semi-auto, meaning one click per bullet without multi-shot. In comparison, a burst weapon or a fully auto weapon has an innate advantage from the start, since they require significantly less effort to produce a similar and oftentimes superior damage output. Number two is their lack of innate punch-through, which hinders the weapon's ability to handle crowds in a game that has oftentimes been defined by its creators as a horde shooter. And number three is the clip size. Although the ammunition economy for this type of weapon is the best in the game, reload frequency is oftentimes a very real limitation, especially when you don't land every shot. All of these three factors combine for a grim picture, making weapons such as the Veld, the Grimlock, or the Latron series pretty much useless. But that doesn't mean that they aren't fun. My favorite weapon in the game right now is the Veld. I've been using it almost non-stop since it came out. I love its looks and especially the way it feels. When you fire a Veld, it seems like you're firing a nuke, an illusion broken by the fact that when you hit something with it, you realize it's only a pea. But the satisfaction doesn't only come from an aesthetic perspective. It derives also from the amount of skill it takes to use it effectively. You see, single-shot rifles have that. If you're skilled enough, you can get some really cool moments out of these weapons. Running through a hallway headshot after headshot, precise, deliberate shots, accuracy and skill, prioritizing targets, you feel like a badass, and like that you're having actual fun. In a game where AFK strategies seem to be the everyday course, there is a great amount of joy to be found in actually working to take down enemies. But the big problem is, there is no reward. That's the main reason why single-shot rifles or carbines need to be individualized in a subclass of their own, since other weapons with similar functionality don't have this lack of reward for skill issue. Bows are silent and oftentimes have innate punch-through and deal a lot of damage when used correctly, and snipers have their scope, which give you two things aside the obvious zoom. One is an individual scope bonus ranging from extra critical chance to extra critical damage, and two is the sniper combo multiplier, designed to reward precision. But single-shot rifles have none of that. There is no reward for being good with a weapon that requires a ton of skill in order for it to work. Add to this all of the limitations I stated earlier, and there you have it. A weapon that takes a lot of effort, but for what? It is fun to use one, but that's it. There is no reward. All that skill, all that precision gone to waste, since someone comes along with a Supra and does the same thing, only 10 times faster and without even looking. You may think that comparing a semi-auto rifle to a fully auto thing like the Supra could be a little unfair, so let's put things into perspective. This is an in-game comparison between the Vectis, a Mastery Rank 2 sniper, and the Velt, a Mastery Rank 8 single-shot rifle. Right off the bat, the Vectis deals more damage, which is not compensated by the 0.2 critical multiplier differential. The Vectis has a higher crit chance, reload speed, and comes with innate punch-through. On the other hand, the Velt has a bigger magazine and more fire rate. But bear in mind that these are semi-auto weapons, meaning that in order to get full advantage of the aforementioned fire rate, that way compensating for the lack of damage, you will have to click like a lunatic, or use a macro, or tie your shooting to the mouse wheel. And the fact that you would even consider the last two exemplifies how bad things are for single-shot rifles. And all of this is without accounting for the scoped bonuses you get when using a sniper, or to put it in simpler terms, the things you get for just aiming. Yet, I believe there's a solution. One could be to implement the same shot multiplier sniper rifles use, thus rewarding player precision and punishing the lack of it while preserving the single-shot rifle's unique niche. Another solution could be to buff single-shot rifles even more, increasing everything, damage, crit, status, because even with the recent balance patches for primary weapons, these weapons still deliver an underwhelming amount of damage. Lastly, exclusive subclass mods, hence why I've been insisting throughout the video that single-shot rifles need a subclass of their own. Snipers have them and bows do too, so I see no reason as to why carbines shouldn't. In this regard, my suggestion is in the vein of creating covert lethality but for rifles. Allow me to explain. When talking melee weapons, daggers are at a disadvantage. They lack the range of polearms and greatswords, and while fast, they aren't as fast as sparring weapons. So covert lethality gave them a niche. Nowadays, you see plenty of players running in arrows, Excalibur or Ivara with a dagger that of course includes covert lethality. A very effective way to use an otherwise very bland weapon. For single-shot rifles, my idea is to introduce a mod, a subclass augment that does something similar, but instead of working off finishes, it would work off headshots. Of course, this would need some balancing, excluding bosses and other priority targets such as bursts. This could see an increase in single-shot rifles usage by giving them a unique niche, a weapon capable of one-shooting pretty much anything if you're skilled enough to land headshots consistently. A mechanic that's not new to the game, some weapons have a bonus damage added on headshots like the Cernos Prime, the Vectis, or the Synapse. Or they have special mechanics triggered only when achieving this, like the Dual Toxicist and the Nell. You might think that this is something completely unnecessary given the current content structure within the game. To which I would argue that expanding a weapon's usability, giving it a place beyond just level 50, will bring more variety, encouraging players to experiment more by introducing a playstyle that requires more skill and less AFK strategies. In the end, single-shot rifles are fun, at least for me. The skill, the precision, the pace, but all this is cut short by having no reward at the end. No cherry on top, no reason to use them other than it feels cool. But what are your impressions about this subclass? Do you think it can be saved, or maybe it's good as it is? Make sure to leave a comment, and on that same line, a week or so ago I did a Q&A in Spanish because the channel turned a year old. Since I kept forgetting to include it in my English videos, so I decided later to postpone it until now. I know it's insane to do this now with the sacrifice and all, but I'm going to anyway. So if you have any questions regarding me that I didn't cover in my first Q&A, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm going to link said Q&A at the end of this video so you know what I already answered. You have until the 22nd of June, so it's a little more than a week, which I think it's fair given the circumstances. For my part, this has been all for today. If you enjoyed the video or you found it interesting, please consider giving it a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more Warframe content and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with everything. Again, thank you very much for watching. Wherever you are, have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.